Okay, guys, please don't forget to turn your cameras on as we start today's class. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we will continue working on the writing section. But in this case, we're gonna, now that we've seen the integrated question, which is the first question of the writing section, right? No matter when you take a test. And now that we've also seen the second task, for those of you guys who are taking the test before the July the 26th, the independent one that we finished yesterday, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna see the new second writing task. So this class is gonna be especially for those of you guys who are planning on taking the test after July the 26th. Okay, because you guys are the ones that are gonna get this question. If you guys will take the test before July the 26th, then you won't be getting the question that we'll see today. Okay, so this is especially for students who are taking the test after July the 26th. Okay, guys? Any questions before we start?
I have a question about the homework that you gave us before. It was like an example, and the homework is for the test before the July 27th, right?
I'm sorry, Paula, what's your question again?
The assignment that you gave us, it's like the format of the test before July 27th or after too?
Exactly. It's before July the 26th. So only do the assignment if you guys will take the test before that date. Those who are taking the test after that date, you're gonna do a different assignment. I'm gonna send you guys an assignment for this question that we're gonna see today.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other question? Okay, guys, great. We're gonna start by watching a video published by the ETS itself that explains a little bit what this task consists in. I think it's a great summary of what it is, and then we'll explain it. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here.
Question 2 in the TOEFL IBT writing section is the writing for an academic discussion task. Here's what the task will look like. For this task, you will write a post in an online academic discussion. You'll read a question from the professor and responses from other students. This example is a discussion in a business class about advertising. Express and support your opinion and contribute to the discussion. You have 10 minutes to write your post.
Okay, guys. So, as you guys could see, this new writing question is called Writing for an Academic Discussion. And as you probably guessed, what you're going to do is you're going to write for an academic discussion. So what we have here, what we have on my screen, and what you guys will be having on your screens the day of your test, when you get to this question, is an online debate. So you need to imagine that you guys are part of a university class, an online class, and the professor is raising a question so that students can debate about that question. Okay? Now, let's read the instructions first. So Cami, could you please read the instructions, the ones here?
Okay, your professor is teaching a class on business. Write a post responding to the professor's question. In your response, you should express and support your personal opinion, make a contribution to discussion. An effective response will contain at least 100 words.
Okay, thank you so much, Cami. So those are the instructions. Basically, it's what I was telling you. You have an online debate. This is an academic discussion. Now, in this class, your professor is going to be here. In our case, our professor is going to be Dr. Diaz. Now, Dr. Diaz is raising a question for the class. The question is going to be found here at the bottom of the screen on the left part. This is the question. Paula, could you please read the question?
Is advertising just a way of manipulating people to buy things they do not need, or is it an important source of information that helps people make informed consumer decisions?
Okay, thank you so much. So as you guys can see, the question that the professor is raising is very similar to the type of question that we saw yesterday and the day before. First, because it's a closed question, and it's something debatable, right? It's something that you could have different opinions. Now, you have two possible answers here, two possible choices. We could either say that advertising is basically trash, it's just a way of manipulating people to buy things they don't. Or we could go for the other option and say that actually advertising is good. It's an important source of information and it's helpful, right? It helps consumers. We have those two options. Now, what do we do with that? As the instructions say, what we have to do first is express and support our opinion. That means that we need to say what we think, our opinion, and we need to support our opinion with reasons and with details. But not only do we have to do that, because there's something that you guys need to really take into account here. And a mistake would be to just write your opinion and explain why you feel that way. But that's not just everything that you have to do. If that would be it, then there's no reason why they would be including anything of this, right? But there's a reason why all of that is there. That's because you have to act and you have to write in order to contribute to this discussion. So you have to be part of the discussion. You have to somehow show that you understand what's going on, what people are saying, and you have to somehow contribute to that, okay? And they say an effective response should contain at least 100 words. We're aiming for 150, 170, 130 words, a little bit over 100. Okay, that would be a good response. Any questions so far?
So teacher, this is like an integrated speaking, but we need to be part of the conversation of these persons.
Okay. So yes and no. This is honestly, the way I see it, it's like a mix of an integrated and an independent question. An independent because you have to talk about your opinion, right? You don't have to summarize anything. You have to talk about your own opinion, but it's also an integrated one because you're supposed to show that you comprehend the content that's given to you as well. So it's like a mix of both in this case.
Sorry. It's like an independent writing, but we need to be part of this conversation of these persons.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other question?
Teacher, just for understand because I signed up late. So the main task of this writing is what the teacher sets, refer, and then is like the supporting ideas the students say, something like that.
Okay, we're gonna see what we're gonna do, but yes, the question that we have to answer is technically this one here. the question that the professor is asking.
And the other studies from the students is technically like the answer from them.
Exactly. So this is the question that the professor raised. And these are our classmates' posts. So we have two classmates, Karen and Brad, and they have already answered that question. They have posted the response there, and we have to continue with the conversation, contribute to that discussion.
So we can say if we agree with them or just we have a different opinion.
Exactly. Yes. Any other question? Okay, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. First, obviously, we will read the question. Now, first tip that I'm gonna give you guys is don't read this. This is the introduction that the professor gives. To be honest, it's not that important. Maybe it can help you with some phrases, but it's not gonna help you in a significant way. You gotta remember that you have 10 minutes to read and to write, okay, for everything. So it's not a lot of time. You better use it wisely, and we're not gonna waste our time reading this. We're gonna go directly to the question. We know what the question is already. Is advertising useless, just a way of manipulating people, or is it actually a good source of information and is it its help? Now, as I was telling you guys before, we have two responses already from two of our classmates. Now, these two students are always gonna be saying the opposite. That means that one of them, the first one, is gonna be supporting one side. So in this case, for example, Karen is against advertising. She says that advertising is useless. It's just a way of manipulating people. And the other student is always gonna say the opposite of what the first one said. So Brad, in this case, likes advertising. Brad says that advertising is actually a good source of information. So you're always going to have two different opposing views in your classmates' posts. Okay? So let's please read what we have. Could anyone please read what Karen said in her post?
I don't think most people consider us to be valuable. I read that in just 1 year from 2018 to 2019, the number of computers, tablets, and mobile phones using ad blockers increased from 142 million to 615 million.
Okay, perfect. Ale, thank you. So we know that Karen is clearly against advertising. She says that it's not useful, and she has one reason. What's her reason?
The increase of blockers.
Exactly. So yep, she says that people don't like advertising in general. People don't consider it to be valuable. And she has those details, that evidence of the fact that people are continuing to use ad blockers. It's something that's increasing. Now, could anybody else please read what Brad said?
I can do it.
Okay.
People can find out a lot about products from advertising. They're making a big purchase by looking at ads and reviews. I have to go to another class right now, but I'm going to post later about an advertisement that gave me a lot of useful information.
Thank you, Mark. So as you guys can see, Brad has a different opinion. He thinks that advertising is actually useful. And his reason is that, well, people get good information from ads, right? People or consumers start the process of making a purchase by looking at ads and reviews. So it helps them in the process of buying something. He doesn't have any details, right? But supposedly he's gonna post something later about an example, right? But well, in any case, now that we've read all of that, what do? First thing, as always, we're gonna outline, but we're gonna do it very quickly because in this case, you don't have to think as much. First, we're gonna decide our position. Who do we agree with? Do we agree with Karen or do we agree with Brad? Do we think that advertising is useful or not? What do you guys think? What do we say?
Maybe Brad?
Brad, okay, we're gonna say that advertising is actually useful, good. So we need to think of that. And what we need to also do is think of another reason. Now, this is really key. You guys need to think of a reason why you feel the way you feel. So why is advertising actually useful? You need to think, tell me a reason, give me a reason, but the reason that you think of has to be completely different from what Brad already said. Okay, so it has to be something. What do you think?
Maybe it can be that you can, I don't know how to say it in English. Puedes llegar a más personas, like you can
Reach more people, right? Okay, I like your reason. You can reach more consumers, more people, but I think that you're seeing this through the eyes of the company, right? Obviously, advertising is beneficial for the company, but I think the question here is about the benefits or the not benefits for the people, right? For the consumers.
Oh, okay.
So can you guys think of another benefit of advertising for the consumers? You know,
I guess,
We,
sorry,
right?
go on,
Right.
Ale, go.
I was thinking that maybe many companies which use advertiser strategies, they use also a software where technically this software lets all the companies to know to reach the specific person or the specific target. So in order to help that people is that advertisers try to give information or update so kind of information what they are looking for. So it's an easy way that they can look information and also advertising helps about that.
Okay, good. I really like what you're saying, Ali. So you're saying you're talking about customized ads, right? So things that are personalized for you, for your needs. I like the fact that you said it's an easy way to get information, right? Because yeah, it is very convenient for the consumer. Maybe we can go around those ideas, and we could say that consumers save time, right? By getting personalized ads. Okay, good. I like that. Marco, what about you? What were you about to say?
I was thinking about that it can help show you all the choices you have, brands and choices.
Okay. Yes, I do like that as well. I think both reasons are really strong. So advertising helps consumers by showing them all their choices. So maybe they have more options from where to choose. And also by saving them time because they don't have to do the research on their own. The ads just get to them. And it's even better when they are customized, right? So I like both of them. But if we think about it, maybe what you're saying about knowing all your choices is related to acquiring information. And maybe that could be related somehow to what Brad already said. Yeah, right, because Brad says there's plenty of evidence that people usually begin the process of making a purchase, of choosing what to buy by looking at ads and reviews. So maybe we could go for Alice's idea. We could say that it's an easy way for consumers to make a decision. They save time by not having to do the research on their own. And when you have customized ads, then it's even more useful, right? So great. Now that we thought about that, we can start writing our response. Remember, this is not an essay, this is a post, a response to the question. So let's see what we can do. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna be using this template. Now, honestly, it's a really good template. It has everything you guys need.
Teacher, I have a question there. I don't know if you talk about it. In this kind of writing task, it's just a reading, or it includes listening or a kind of lecture about a discussion?
Okay, good question. So no, it's just basically what we saw, something like this, is what you will see on your screen. And there's nothing else. So you have the instructions first, you have the question from the professor, and you have the two students' responses. And that's it. You don't have to listen to anything else. It will all be in the same, I mean, it'll all be on the same page, right? On your screen.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yes. Any other question? Okay, guys, perfect. So let's see what we're gonna do. First thing, we're gonna name our students. We had Karen and Brad, right? Now, the student that we agree with, Brad, is gonna be student A. Okay, the student that we agree with is gonna be a student A. In this case, it's Brad. And we will remember that you guys will have this on your screen, right? So you will be able to read the posts and the question at the same time that you're typing. Obviously, right now, because we can't have everything on my screen, we don't have that, right? But when you're taking the test, you will have access to the two responses. But just to remember, Brad said that advertising is actually useful because we get information, right? Because it's the first step in order to make a purchase. So that was Brad's point. Brad is gonna be our student A. And on the other hand, Karen, who we disagree with, is gonna be our student B. And Karen was mainly talking about the fact that people don't consider ads to have value and that people use ad blockers, right? So let's just keep that in mind. Now, what are we gonna do to write our response? First thing we're gonna do, our first sentence, which is gonna be like a short introduction, we're gonna say which student we agree with. In this case, obviously we agree with Brad, right? A student A. So we're gonna say, I completely support Brad's opinion. And that's gonna be your introduction, first sentence. I completely support Brad's opinion. Now, second thing that we're gonna do, second element, the one that it's on light blue, we're gonna summarize our student A's main point, main reason. And we will say, besides the fact that, and here we need to summarize what Brad said. Now, Brad was talking about the fact that reviewing ads or checking ads and reviews is the first step when making a purchase. So we get information about the products, right? So we're gonna summarize that. And we're gonna say, besides the fact that advertisements provide, that advertisement provides consumers with maybe useful information about products. Besides the fact that advertisement provides consumers with useful information about products, that was Brad's main point, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know. Is there anything else? Or maybe should we change this to something else? What do you guys think? Okay, so let's leave it there. Besides the fact that advertisement provides consumers with useful information about products, maybe we could say, beside the fact that advertisement or that checking ads is the first step when making a purchase, as they provide consumers with useful information. Maybe, I don't know, like making it more complete. So besides the fact that checking ads is the first step when making a purchase, as they provide consumers with useful information about products, that is the way that we are summarizing Brad's main reason, right? And that is our second element. Any questions so far?
In that case, we need to paraphrase Brad's opinion, right?
Summarize more than paraphrase. Because Brad probably wrote around 70, 100 words. So we need to make it into one clause. So we gotta summarize as much as we can. Any other question? Okay. So to be honest, I would make it to just one clause. We have two here. So I would just choose one of the two. Do we stay with the first clause? Checking ads is the first step when making a purchase, or do we stay with the second idea that ads provide consumers with useful information about products? What do you guys think? You tell me.
Maybe the second one.
The second, okay? So besides the fact that advertisement, let's just leave it the way it was, provides consumers with useful information about products, it's better if we keep it simple, just one clause. And then we're gonna do our third element. What is our third element? We will add one more reason. And this is our personal reason, right? This is what we thought about. It has to be new, as I was telling you, it has to be original. We cannot repeat what one of the students already said, right? It has to be something different. So in this case, we're gonna focus on what Ale was saying, how advertising makes it like easier for the consumers to get the information because they save time, and how with personalized ads, like they really get useful information, right? That we're explaining why it's useful information. So we're gonna say it is widely known that by getting ads, we save plenty of time that we would otherwise spend doing research doing research on, maybe we can be a little bit more specific, right? Doing research on the features, quality,
Specs.
okay, sorry.
I said the specifications.
Okay, good. Doing research on features, on the features, quality, specifications. Anything else? maybe in brands or prices as well, right? Okay, that we would otherwise spend doing research on features, on the features, quality, specification, and prices or products from different brands, maybe. So this is our reason, right? It is widely known that by getting ads, we save plenty of time that we will otherwise spend doing research on the features, quality, specifications, and prices of products from different brands. So not only do we get information, but we also save time when getting that information. That's our reason, right? Our main reason. And then we are gonna summarize now student B's point. So the other student, the one that we don't agree with, right? In this case, Karen. So you guys may be wondering, so why is it important to do this? Why do I have to summarize student A and student B's point? The thing is that, again, we need to be part of the discussion. We need to be part of the class, and we need to show that we comprehend everything that was given to us. There's a reason why the posts were there, right? We have to interact with those posts. Because if we don't, then it's like you're just answering the question on your own, but you're not contributing to the discussion, right? So that's why we summarize student A and student B's point. So in this case, element number 4 consists in us summarizing Karen's point. We've already summarized Brad's point in the blue part. Now in the green part, we're gonna be summarizing Karen's point. So we're gonna say Karen has a good point. We're gonna acknowledge that she's right about something, right? Because she mentioned even facts. So we're gonna say Karen has a good point when she says that. So Karen was talking about ad blockers and the fact that some people don't like ads, right? So what do I say? Help me out.
Maybe the number of ad blockers increase since many people don't want to be disturbed or express their rejection.
Okay. I love that, and I like the vocabulary. Okay, we could say Karen has a good point when she, in this case, right? We gotta change that. So when she says that the number of ad blockers increased, since many people, okay, we can say the number of ad blockers increased, and many people express rejection towards advertising. So we're saying, yeah, that's a good point, but, and now we gotta challenge that point. That was the 4th element, right? Summarizing Karen's point. But now it's our turn, and we gotta challenge that point. We gotta object to that. Somehow find a way to counter, react to what Karen said. So this is really important, because if you leave it there, then it's like, if you don't respond to what Karen is saying, then it's like you're kind of telling, or you're kind of saying that she's right? And you won't be sure about your own opinion. So we need to somehow challenge that. And I think this is a perfect chance, a perfect opportunity to now use what we were saying about getting customized ads, right? We could maybe talk about social media and how they collect data on our preferences, and they show us like customized ads, right? That really suit our needs. Maybe we could even say that the reason why some people don't like advertising is because they're not getting advertising that's suited for them, right? They're not getting advertising that is useful for them because it's not customized advertising. So we can kind of solve that problem and say, so however, it's important to know that The reason why people reject advertising sometimes is because they're not getting customized advertising. But now, as technology is increasing, maybe you could say, like we're getting more and more personalized ads thanks to apps like social media apps, right? We could mention that. So something like that, something along those lines. So how do I say that? That's the thing. However, it's important to know that. Any ideas? How can I say that? Maybe we could say it's important to know that with the boom of technology and with the boom of technology, consumers are now able to get customized ads suited for customized ads for products that meet their needs, maybe, right? So, however, it's important to know that with the boom of technology, consumers are now able to get customized ads of products that meet their needs. And thus, I don't know, let's make sure that the connection is clear. And we could say, and thus, the tendency of ad blockers is likely to decline, okay? So obviously, we don't know, we are not experts to assure this, but we could say something like that, right? So with this, I am directly contrasting what Karen said. So however, it's important to note that with the boom of technology, consumers are now able to get customized ads or products that meet their needs, and thus the tendency of ad blockers is likely to, the tendency of using ad blockers, right, is likely to decline. Is this okay? Do you guys see how I am challenging Karen's point? And I am talking about what we thought about, right? Customized, personalized ads. And that was our fifth element. Any questions so far? Okay. Finally, we need to elaborate a little bit. And this sixth part consists in giving examples, giving details, giving facts. Basically, same thing as what we were doing yesterday, but this has to just be one sentence. Please don't extend yourself. I am not going to ask you to give any personal experiences here. I won't ask you to tell specific stories because that's too long. You could talk about one specific experience, but you would have to summarize it a lot, right? You could say, for example, just last week, I bought, I got an ad of a shampoo especially made for my type of hair. I don't know, that could be something like that. Or maybe last week I was searching on Marketplace for shampoo brands. And the next day I got an ad on Instagram showing me the correct product. You could do something like that. Or on the other hand, you could just talk about examples in general, which is probably the quickest option. So you could say something like, for example, And you could say social media apps like or such as Instagram and Facebook collect data on our preferences, or Instagram or Facebook are able to collect data on our preferences are constantly collecting data on our preferences in order to show us the most valuable, only most valuable advertising. Okay, something like this, right? So it's a general example. I am mentioning, including some details like Instagram and Facebook, but I am not giving too many details. It's not a story, it's just one sentence, right? So for example, social media apps such as Instagram and Facebook are constantly collecting data on our preferences in order to show us, I don't know, I would change maybe that word, advertising of products of our interest. That is, or advertising of products that we're likely to be interested in. That is useful advertising, right? And that's it. That's our example. The important thing is that we elaborate a little bit on what we're saying and that we try to give some details. But don't make it too long. Okay, guys? One sentence. If you notice, every element should be one sentence. So you could obviously go farther and write more, but you gotta understand that we only have 10 minutes, right? So being realistic, one sentence is more than enough for each point. Is that okay? Any questions now? Okay, and finally, we are in the last point, which is basically our conclusion, where we directly answer the question. If you think about it, in the introduction, the first sentence, we haven't really answered the question directly, right? We just said that we support Brad's opinion. But in the last sentence, you're supposed to answer the question more directly. So if we remember, the question the professor asked was, is advertising just a way of manipulating people to buy things they don't need? Or is it an important source of information that helps consumers make better decisions, right? Something like that. So we're gonna say that's why I feel that advertising is indeed a valuable source of information which helps consumers make informed, which helps consumers, which greatly helps consumers
Decide.
okay, which greatly helps consumers decide, which greatly helps consumers, I was gonna say like in the process of making a purchase, but it's also good, which helps consumers decide. And this is it. This is your response to, or this is your post. You guys? What do you think? What questions do you guys have? That's better. No questions, really? Everything's clear? Well, some things that I wanted to say, this is less formal than all of the other essays we did, because this is not an essay, it's just a post. You can use contractions. You do not necessarily have to use such formal language the way we did before. As you guys can see, we are using some connectors and transitions, right? We're saying however, for example, but that's about it. We're not being like, we're not exaggerating. The good thing about this template is that it already has good sentences, right? So for example, we have compound sentences here, besides the fact that, so, I mean, it has everything you need to have, and it's a good way of like leading you, and guiding you when writing the essay, or the essay, the post, sorry. So what else? Even though you don't have to use like such formal vocabulary, it is, again, it is, I mean, as usual, it is important that you show that you have appropriate vocabulary, right? So for example, if this is about business, then I am showing that I have certain vocabulary, right, related to business topics. So things like consumers, customers, brands, like advertising. We could also say target customers, right? The market. We could try to use those words related to the topic, right? I'm not trying to use fancy vocabulary, but appropriate vocabulary instead. Any questions?
I have a question. Does the text have 100 words? Because at the beginning it says that it has to have 100 words. So is that something that we have to do, or it
Okay.
can be less than 100?
So it's not something that you have to do. They don't say that you have to have at least 100 words. They say that an ideal or an effective response would have around 100 words. So that means that you should have around that number. To be honest, having less than 100 words means that there's something missing, that you could have written more, you could have written better. So if you guys have everything we have here, those 7 elements, and if you have at least one sentence in each, then you will have more than 100, I promise. We're gonna count the number of words we have here. Again, it's not a word limit, it's not a word requirement, but it is a reference, so about the number of words that you should be aiming to have. As I told you in the beginning, we should be aiming for 150, 130 words. That's a good number. So let's count how many words we have. I'm deleting this parenthesis in here. Okay. So if we count the number of words that we wrote today in this example, we have 157. It's a really good number. You should have around 130 to 150. That would be advisable. So if you guys have all of these elements, you would make the word count. Any other question?
No, thank you, Andrea.
Sure, guys.
Here
Okay,
it's not necessary we use different models or like yesterday that you suggest to get us that maybe it's better we use different tenses or something like that. Here it will be more directly for the sale, more, I don't know, abreviado.
okay. So, I mean, the the rubrics they use to evaluate this are not available yet. Given that it's something so new, we don't have rubrics for this task yet published by the ETS. But obviously, we can assume that grammar variety is going to be part of the criteria they use to evaluate your responses. So, grammar variety means, as I was telling you yesterday, having different types of sentence structures, so compound simple sentences, conditional sentences, having different verb tenses if you can, showing that variety, right? Modal verbs and so forth. So yes, it would be good if you guys can try to show that variety. Not necessarily by using different tenses, because you're not going to force yourself to use a tense that is not needed, right? That would be using grammar incorrectly. So not because you have or you feel that you need to use like the simple past or another tense, you're going to force yourself to use it here. If we look at everything we wrote, like there's no place where we could write in another tense, because everything we're saying has to do with opinions and facts, right? So we cannot use other tense than the simple present in this case. If we were to use another tense, it would be wrong because we're not using it correctly, properly. So what you could do if you want to use another tense, for example, is in the example, as I was telling you, you could talk about a personal experience. You could say, for example, last week I bought a shampoo that was from an advertisement that I saw, right? That would help you maybe use more than one tense. But technically speaking, you don't need to use, and you have less chances of using different tenses. What you could do though is try to use maybe one conditional sentence, try to use these relative clauses, for example, try to use different punctuation marks. Like in this case, I am using semicolon. I'm not forcing it, right? It's not like I'm gonna go where I have a comma and I'm gonna replace it with a semicolon just because I want to. It has to be correctly used, right? So in this case, this one is correctly used. So you can try to do those things. You show good vocabulary as well, but don't force it. It has to be like properly used. Okay? Grammar is gonna matter, but if you, because you want to force yourself to use a lot of grammar, you tend to, or you end up using it in the wrong context, then it's actually just going to lower your score. So it's better to just use what you need to use in order to express your ideas. Is that okay?
Yes.
Any other question?
And Andrea, can you send this to the group chat, please?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll be sending this document and the presentation. This one here, right? Is probably going to be useful.
Thank you.
Sure. Guys, if you don't have other questions, then I'm starting today's survey. By the way, well, as you fill out the survey, I'm gonna be sending you guys the third assignment, and as the assignment that I sent you guys yesterday is only for students who are taking the test before July the 26th, right? Those of you who are taking it after that date, then it's useless that you do the assignment, right? So don't do it. Now, for those of you who are taking the test after July the 26th, then I'll be sending you guys an assignment for this question. And that's the one that you're going to have to send me, and I'll be giving it back with some feedback as well. Okay, guys? So again, students who are taking the test before July the 26th, do the assignment that I sent yesterday, right? The independent question. And if you guys are taking the test after that date, do the next assignment that I'm gonna post today probably, or tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay, guys? Or we can do it in class because we have tomorrow more to practice or to practice the writing, right? So we're probably gonna be doing this in class. Given that it's only 10 minutes, then we better use the time that we have in class.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea.
Hey, guys.
Bye bye.